Meghan is hardly innocent. She's down in the dirt with me, whether she likes it or not. Something is wrong behind the scenes. Very wrong. Quiet whispers have been echoing through London for weeks. Not loud enough to hit a headline, but sharp enough to make Meghan Markle look over her shoulder. Because this time, the danger isn't coming from the press or critics or commentators. It's coming from inside the very family she once hoped to charm. For years, one man has been held up as the royal family's darkest chapter, Prince Andrew. After his fall from grace, after the public humiliation, after the titles were stripped and the world turned its back, he stayed silent. Everyone assumed he would stay that way forever. But now, sources say Andrew has started talking. Not publicly, not yet, but privately, quietly, strategically. And the name he keeps bringing up is Meghan Markle. Tonight we explore why Meghan is allegedly panicking, why Andrew is suddenly ready to speak, and what truth has been buried beneath Buckingham Palace for years. This is the genesis of our story, and it begins with the whisper that shook the palace. According to sources close to royal circles, Prince Andrew has begun sharing details from his past that he never intended to revisit, details he once protected, details he once kept buried. But after losing his public role, his reputation, and nearly everything he once valued, Andrew allegedly feels he has nothing left to lose. The silence that once protected him no longer benefits him, and now he believes it is time to reveal the full picture. And in this picture, Meghan Markle is not standing on the outside. She is allegedly standing much closer to Andrew's past than anyone expected. This is where the tension begins. The whispers coming out of Britain say Andrew is deeply bitter about how he was pushed out, while Meghan, who allegedly moved in the same circles during the same years, has been protected with a wall of silence. To Andrew, that silence is unfair. To the palace, that silence is necessary. But to Meghan, that silence might be the only thing keeping her world from collapsing. And now Andrew is allegedly getting ready to break it. Before Meghan was married, before the royal titles, before the documentaries and speeches, there was a period of her life the public barely knows about, and it's that period that is suddenly under the spotlight. According to insiders, Meghan had a surprising level of proximity to Karina Shuliak, Epstein's final known girlfriend. Karina herself has gone on record saying she only traveled on planes, yachts, and private outings through Epstein's arrangements. She moved through his world exclusively. So when photos emerged, showing Meghan on yachts connected to the same circle around 2014, eyebrows were raised behind the scenes. Not loudly, not publicly, but sharply enough that the palace took notice. The question whispered in private rooms was simple. If Andrew's association with Epstein destroyed him, why are Meghan's alleged ties being ignored? This is where the panic begins, because the palace, the press, and the entire institution made a choice. They would protect Harry's new wife at all cost. They would avoid another scandal. They would bury everything that might connect her to that world. But now that Andrew is angry, now that Andrew feels abandoned, that protection may no longer hold. While Andrew's story became global news, not many people know one specific detail. Virginia Roberts-Guay allegedly wanted Meghan Markle to testify as a witness, not as a victim, not as an outsider, but as someone she recognized from the environment surrounding Andrew. Sources claim Virginia knew Meghan socially from that same orbit, the one where Andrew, Epstein, and Karina moved, and Virginia believed Meghan had been close enough to Andrew long enough to be relevant to his behavior and activities during those years. Why would Virginia consider Meghan a useful witness? Simple. She allegedly knew Meghan had seen more than she ever admitted. This is where the story grows darker, because if Virginia recognized Meghan, if Meghan and Andrew shared a past friendship, if Meghan was close enough to be legally interesting, then Andrew's silence isn't only about his story, it's about hers. And now, sources say he is ready to finally speak. To understand how Meghan Markle ended up in the same atmosphere as powerful elites, billionaires, and royalty, we have to go back to a single moment in 2011. The moment she stepped off the plane in Toronto, she was there to film Suits. Unknown, unconnected, just another actress trying to survive. But according to people familiar with the social scene, Meghan didn't stay unnoticed for long. The moment Soho House opened its doors in Toronto, a man named Marcus Anderson, a well-known figure in elite social circles, allegedly brought Meghan into the inner group. Not slowly, not cautiously, but instantly, like someone was opening a backstage pass and handing it to her. Marcus Anderson didn't just introduce Meghan to new people. He inserted her into the highest circles of the city, people with money, status, power, and private access. From exclusive parties to high-influence gatherings to travel with people who were far above her Hollywood pay grade, Meghan wasn't climbing step by step. She was being pulled upward. And this sudden rise matters because many of these circles overlapped with the same wealthy environments that Karina Shuliak and Epstein's acquaintances moved through. It was a world where billionaires flowed in and out of cities like New York and Toronto with ease. A world Meghan found herself in surprisingly quickly. This was the beginning of her path toward royalty. But it wasn't Harry who opened the first door. Meghan's fans love to repeat that she met Harry on a blind date, as if her introduction to royalty was a fairy tale accident. But sources say that story leaves out a very important detail. Long before Meghan ever met Harry, she was already close friends with Princess Eugenie, Prince Andrew's daughter. This means something huge. Meghan had access to Andrew's world years before she ever touched Harry's. Eugenie wasn't just any royal. She was one of Meghan's earliest royal ties, a quiet, hidden connection that gave Meghan a surprising inside path into Buckingham Palace. When Meghan visited New York or Toronto or London, Eugenie allegedly knew her. When Meghan attended private gatherings or exclusive events, Eugenie was allegedly present in those circles. And if Meghan knew Eugenie, then she knew Andrew. At the very least, she was close enough to stand in the same rooms, hear the same conversations, and be part of the same social bubble. This is why Virginia Roberts mentioning Meghan as a possible witness isn't random. This is why Andrew's silence is starting to crack. And this is why Meghan appears to be so unsettled. Because if her pre-Harry history with the Andrew-Eugenie circle becomes public, it rewrites her story entirely. She didn't stumble into the royal world. She walked in through a side door. By the time Andrew's scandal exploded, Meghan was already safely protected by the palace machinery. She had Harry, she had titles, she had global PR. But Andrew, he had nothing left to lose. And according to sources close to him, that's when his resentment began to grow. Behind closed doors, Andrew allegedly started saying things he would never say in public. He would talk about people who were around him during those controversial years, not just wealthy businessmen or unknown associates, but Meghan. He allegedly mentioned that she was close to the family long before the media ever knew her name. He allegedly pointed out how she was present in circles the palace now refuses to acknowledge, and he allegedly questioned why he was the only one who paid the price. To Andrew, this was simple. If he was dragged down for connections to Epstein, then why was Meghan protected when she allegedly had similar access? And now that Andrew has lost everything, his titles, his duties, his public standing, he has nothing left that the palace can take from him, which means he finally has something very dangerous, freedom to speak. And insiders say he's ready to use it. There is a moment in every story when a bridge burns so completely, nothing can be repaired. For Meghan Markle and Sarah Ferguson, better known as Fergie, that moment came quietly, but it left a fire behind it. After Andrew's downfall, Fergie's world collapsed too. Titles gone, income threatened, reputation in pieces.